I greet you in the name of the Lord. Good to join you for this celebration of Good Friday. It's a solemn celebration because Jesus was nailed to a cross, nailed to a tree, and we call it Good Friday, or at least Holy Friday. It was a Roman form of execution to put someone on a cross, but it came for us the icon of God's love, the icon of life-giving. No matter how hard we strive to conform ourselves to the illusion that Jesus can die without suffering, we're confronted with the brutal and stark reality of Good Friday. As Stanley Hauerwas said in one of his sermons, we would like to believe that the crucifixion was some terrible mistake, a failure in communication, but the reality is unavoidable. He was crucified. Even this coming Sunday morning, when we're supposed to be past this day of the cross, the question will still linger there. Even when faced with an empty tomb, we're going to be still asking, why did he have to die? Why did he have to die that way? One reason he had to die on a cross is that's how Romans executed people publicly, especially people who they regarded as a threat to their power. Hang them high so that everyone can see what happens to you when you challenge Rome. But there has to be more to it than that. He died on a cross to reveal the very heart of God. Thomas Aquinas, back in the 13th century, asked this question. He read another early part of the Bible, Deuteronomy 21:23, where it says, anyone hung on a tree is under God's curse. And he wondered, how can it be that this Jesus was both the Son of God and he was hung on a tree, the cross? How can this be? Was Jesus accursed of God in that? No, he said. It was fitting, beautiful even, elegant, that Christ should suffer death on a cross. Jesus' death on a cross completely makes up for what Adam and Eve did. They plucked fruit from the forbidden tree, and Jesus was fastened to that tree to restore what had been lost. All that Adam and Eve lost, Jesus restored. All that anyone lost, Jesus restored. It's an amazing image. Yes, the Romans killed people like Jesus. They killed lots of people. Every empire does that and still does that. And it just so happened that when Jesus was alive, their method of killing was this cruel, brutal, public, shameful execution, crucifixion. That's part of the truth. But once Jesus was raised from the dead, once it became clear that the tomb of death would not hold on to him, that same instrument of death became the symbol of God's goodness, God's love. It's almost too much. And the cross, that old tree, now in our art has shoots of life coming out of it. It becomes the base for flowers and for light and for everything new to grow. And it becomes an icon of love. When we look back to the creation story, to the Garden of Eden, we can see this a little differently. Picture that place where God, the great gardener, said to the first human, eat freely of all that you see in this wonderful garden, except from that tree there. And pointing to the middle of the garden, God says, see those two trees? Two trees? I thought there was just one tree in the middle of the garden. But no, there's two. It says in Genesis 2:9, and the Lord God planted a garden in Eden, and out of the ground the Lord God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight for good food, and the tree of life also in the middle of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life was there along with the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the tree of life looks an awful lot like the cross. Let us continue to make solemn intercession for the whole world. Let us meditate further on the cross of Christ.